just before we begin our movement practice. If you'd like to mute earlier, feel free to do that. With your eyes closed, let's go ahead and invite one hand to come to your heart center. And the other hand could stay in your lap, maybe rotating to form that Gyan Mudra, joining your thumb to your forefinger. And just draw your chin ever so slightly in here so that your inner gaze is pouring down to that heart center. And just taking a nice few deep breaths here, connecting with this limitless compassion that we have within. And perhaps connecting here with the feelings of love that you have for those in your life, for those possibly with whom we gathered this past week. And then extending that love inwards to the self. Feeling that love and compassion just fill all the cells of you. Honoring this morning's commitment to coming to your mat and coming to your practice. And allowing this compassion to fill you to the brim. And we'll begin our practice with some breath this morning. And so feel free to keep your hand in your heart or to release both hands down to your lap. And keeping the eyes closed, we'll just take a nice big full inhale. And at the top of your inhale, take in 3 extra sips of air. And then just suspend the breath inwards just for a moment here. And as you exhale, make a circle of your lips. Exhale through your teeth. And at the bottom of your exhale, press 3 puffs of air outwards. And then we'll suspend the breath outwards here just for a moment. And inhaling as you're ready, take a nice big inhale. With those 3 extra sips of air at the top of your inhale. And after your pause, take that exhale through the lips, through the mouth. With 3 extra puffs of air at the bottom of your exhale. We'll take a couple more cycles here, just following your own pattern. And after your final exhale, let's allow your breath to return to normal. And just observing your breath moving easily here. And we'll join our hands and take the sound of Om. Feel free to listen or to join in. Beautiful. And as your eyes begin to open, You can release your hands down, bring yourself to your hands and your knees. Here we'll mute everyone. And we'll unmute at the end of our practice. Good, bringing both hands to the ground just beneath your shoulders, both knees just beneath your hips. Take a nice big inhale, drop your heart forward, lift your gaze up. And as you exhale, begin to round into your spine. Press the center of your spine up. And moving here with your breath, nice inhale, arching your back, lifting your eyes. Exhale, rounding inwards here. Bring your gaze back towards your knees. And moving here just a few times, moving with your breath, inhaling and exhaling. And just beginning here to breathe into the spine, noticing any areas of tension or tenderness. And you might stay here with this Chakravakasana, this forward and backward movement of the spine, or you might begin to wiggle a little into the hips here. Maybe wiggling a little bit into the hips, bringing this movement into the spine and the hips, and then perhaps the shoulders want to get involved here, sending a little bit of weight side to side. Just any movement here that feels good in your body, giving yourself some time here, both to warm and waken the muscles, but also just some time to check in, noticing what you might be carrying this morning, what maybe we woke up with. Let's begin to work ourselves to a neutral spine, gaze directly down. Begin to release both elbows to the ground. Interlace your fingers, bring your gaze forward, nice big inhale here, and then exhale, arch into your spine. Find that rounding, gaze backwards. So we're inhaling forward, elbows down, exhaling, rounding the spine. And so very similar movement, just now bringing this awareness and this movement a little bit more into the shoulders, into the arms. Good. Let's find our neutral spine. Straighten into both arms here. Separate your knees the width of your mat. Keep your big toes drawing towards each other and send your hips back, coming to our child's pose. You might stay here, or if your low back needs a little extra help this morning, maybe curl your toes under so that your hips don't have quite so far to travel. And allow your third eye, that brow point, to come to the ground here, or maybe fold a blanket and settle your head there. And here you might even come back to that breath that we began with, that nice inhale with 3 sips of air at the top. And that exhale with 3 extra exhales outward, a little pause between each breath. Let's begin here to inhale, press into your fingertips. That action is going to lift your palms and your forearms away from the ground. Keep your head low, connected to the earth here, and begin to walk your hands off the right side of your mat. And you might keep your hands here side by side, or you might cross your left wrist over your right and maybe just rotate your gaze to look out underneath that long left arm. Keep pressing here, your hips towards your heels. So take this nice side stretch into your child's pose. And if our wrists are crossed, let's begin to uncross and use an inhale. Guide your body back towards center. And then we'll walk our fingertips now off the left side of your yoga mat. Perhaps you'll cross your right wrist over your left and rotate your gaze, looking out underneath that long right arm. Breathing deeply here. Good, and let's uncross the wrists if they're crossed. Bring your hands back towards center. Take one nice press here. So really pressing into the 10 fingertips, pressing your hips back. And then release your palms down, float yourself forward back to your tabletop position. Invite your knees back beneath your hips. Spread your fingertips wide. Curl your 10 toes under. And on an inhale, bring your hips up and back, coming into perhaps your first Adho Mukha Svanasana of the day. And let's bend and straighten, alternate knees here. Again, just beginning to awaken these bigger muscles of the body, these big muscles in the back of your legs. Perhaps here working more into the shoulders, more into the spine. Keep your neck long here, head is heavy, gaze is back towards your toes. Good, and next exhale, let's bring both knees back down to the ground. And as both knees come down to the ground, if you're working with blocks this morning, you might go ahead and grab your blocks, bring your blocks here on either side of your front foot, and we're going to bring our right foot forward. So it's going to become our front foot here, right foot forward. And you don't need blocks, so hands could be on the earth, and blocks are just a nice way to bring that earth a little higher if we're still feeling a little tight this morning. And so just taking a few breaths here, really allowing these bigger muscles in the hips to warm up. So take some nice conscious breaths and send your breath wherever you feel sensation most strongly here. Nice deep breaths here. Notice if there's anywhere in the body where the breath is sticking, anywhere that's resisting that exhale. Good, and for our next inhale, let's begin to curl your back toes under, press into your back toes, lift that back knee up. It's going to straighten a little into the front leg. Good, and so we'll exhale, hover your knee here, bring your gaze forward. Inhale, press into both legs, lift your hips. And just moving here with your breath. Good, so next time you have your hips lifted, let's pause here. You can step or you can press into both feet and hop to switch the feet here. But as we switch the feet, we're going to inch the left foot forward, lower the right knee fully to the ground. Take some breaths here on this side. So just allowing the hip flexors now to soften, allowing all of that fascia to respond to this longer hold, to this heat that we generate. As we sit here and consciously invite your breath to move through your body. Good, and next inhale, let's curl those back toes under if they're not already. Press your back knee up, straighten into your front leg, begin to drop your gaze, good. Let's exhale here, and then we'll inhale, hovering that back knee, bring your gaze forward. Exhale here, lifting your hips, dropping your eyes. So syncing this movement with your breath's natural rhythm. Again, being easy if you notice areas that aren't responding as well. Always the option to go a little higher, to go a little lower with your blocks if you're using them. Good. The next time you find that back knee hovering, let's fully release the right knee down here. And let's invite the left knee back beneath the left hip. Remove any blocks that you might have beneath your hands so that your hands can come fully to the ground. Fingers spread wide in a little high five. And on an inhale, bring your hips up and back, returning to the shape of our downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Nice deep breaths here. Allow for your head to be heavy, for your neck to be long. Might even release your head a little side to side here. And if you still need some movement into the legs, feel free to take that. Take that movement, bending, straightening opposite legs, or you might allow for your deep breath to be the primary movement in this shape. So the outer body is still, but that nice conscious breathing is ever present. And let's inhale, lift your gaze, lift your heels up, begin to walk your toes forward to that front line of your yoga mat. And as you come forward, bring your fingertips to your knees, lengthen your spine long, reach the crown of your head away from your sit bones. And then exhale, let your spine round, release the weight of your head. Welcome to use blocks here or bend your knees as much as you need to. Really, ideally, we're bringing the stretch into the spine more so than the legs. So you can take the legs out of it by deeply bending the knees and just allow for your spine to descend long here. And again, the head is heavy. Maybe we'll take that head side to side, shaking no, releasing held tension in our necks. Maybe the chin wants to come in and out, nodding yes. Good. And next inhale, let's invite both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders onto your spine. Press into your feet. Rise up here. Take a big inhale. Extend your fingers upwards. And then exhale, bringing both hands to heart center. Anjali Mudra here. Nice big inhale. Stretch up. Urdhva Hastasana. Lead with your heart as you come into your Uttanasana here. Exhale down. Fingers reaching for the ground. Inhale, we'll rise halfway. Then exhale, soften in, big step back with the right toes. Make that a big lunge, softening into the left knee. Good, lowering that right knee all the way to the ground. Let's inhale, bring both hands to your left knee. Both hands to the left knee, and let's roll your shoulders a few times here. And then rolling your shoulders in the opposite direction. Beautiful. Let's press both hands now into this left thigh. As you press your hands down into the left thigh, you're going to feel a little rounding into the low back. So hands are pressing down, low back is rounding, belly kind of starts to hollow out here. Good. So keep this action rounding into the low back, a little hollow shape in the belly, and then roll your shoulders back. Release your hands upwards, stack shoulders over your hips here. Gaze could be forward, could be looking up. And from here, you might begin to sink a little bit more into that front knee. Good. Keep the side body long here. Keep your thumbs moving towards the wall behind you. Active through all 10 fingers here. Next exhale, bring both hands through heart center all the way down to the ground. Plant your palms firmly, press your back knee upward, step it back, downward dog here, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe into this space that we're creating. Notice areas of your body that you can soften. Nice deep yogi breaths. And then an inhale, let's lift your heels up, float your body forward, come to the top of your plank pose. And then lower your knees, lower chin and chest all the way down to the ground. Then release the weight of your body. Bring both the elbows forward. Find that straight line, shoulder to elbows. Gaze is forward. So coming here into our Sphinx pose. If our low back is tender here, you might separate your heels a little bit wider. Otherwise, heels are going to be hips width distance apart. Let's just begin to bend and straighten opposite knees here. Okay, let's pause the next time our left knee is bent. Pausing with that left knee bent, you might stay here. This might be exactly the stretch that you need. If you'd like a little bit more, send your right arm parallel to the front of your mat. Reach backwards with your left hand. Grab a hold of that left foot. And then press your foot in towards your left butt, towards the left glutes, as you kick your foot back into your hands. You're creating some isometric pressure into that back leg. Breathing deeply here. Good. Releasing if you have a hold of that left foot, bringing yourself back into your Sphinx pose, both elbows down. Walk your hands beneath your shoulders, lower your heart here, bring yourself up through your tabletop position. And from tabletop, we'll take our Adho Mukha Svanasana, lifting the hips nice and high, lengthening the spine nice and long here, bringing some awareness to if you're holding any type of pressure or tension into the jaw, into your temples. There's a nice softness here. And next exhale, we'll bring both knees all the way down to the ground. Walk your left foot forward between your hands. Bring your right foot forward between your hands. So we're coming to our Uttanasana. Lift your body halfway. Find that Ardha Uttanasana and then exhale, soften inwards. Fully release the weight of your head here. Nice big inhale, send both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders open, press into both feet, rising here. Big inhale, stretch up. Exhale, bring both hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Nice big inhale, reach upwards. Exhale, lead with your heart as you lengthen forward, lower down here, reaching your fingertips for your blocks or for the ground. Take your half lift. Good. Exhale, softening in. Our left leg comes back. Left leg back. Left knee lowering down to the ground. And then both hands are going to come to that right thigh. Good. Pressing into the top of your right thigh with your hands. Feel that slight rounding in the low back, that slight curling inwards, hollowing out of the belly. Good. Feeling that action and then rolling your shoulders back, lifting your fingertips upwards. Gaze might be forward here. You might begin to curl back. So curling into that structure of the shoulder girdle. So to keep your sternum lifted, even as we lengthen into our side body, pull the thumbs back, you might find that it's comfortable to lean a little bit more into that front right knee. Good. And next exhale, invite both hands to heart center. Release your hands fully to the ground. Press that back knee up, and then we'll bring our front foot back, returning to our Adho Mukha Svanasana. Nice downward facing dog. Let your breath spread throughout your body here. seek those little areas of discomfort and then do what you can to alleviate them. So we don't want to be here and be gritting the teeth and be in pain. And so if the shoulders are feeling pinchy, you might separate your hands a little wider. Low back, if that's feeling pinchy, you might separate the feet a little bit wider. Good. On an inhale, let's float forward, coming to the top of our plank pose, Phalakasana. Exhale, bring knees, chin, chest all the way down to the ground. And then release the weight of your body. Drop both elbows beneath your shoulders, setting up for a sphinx here and coming here into alternate legs, up and down. Good. And again, always the option to bring your knees a little wider towards the edges of your mat if the low back is feeling pinchy here. So the next time your right knee is bent, we'll pause here. Might stay right here. This might be exactly the stretch that you need. If you'd like a little bit more, take the left forearm parallel to the front of your mat, reaching backwards with the right. Take a hold of the right foot. And as your hand finds your foot, if you're taking the spine, kick your foot back into your hand, even as you draw your foot closer to your body here. So you're creating a nice isometric pressure. Breathing deeply. And then as you exhale, releasing that bind if you have it, bring both elbows back to the earth and then walk your hands beneath your shoulders. Lower your torso here and bring yourself up through your tabletop position. And then back up into our Adho Mukha Svanasana, nice downward dog here. And take some good deep breaths here. Feel here your arms as extensions of your spine. So use that pressing downwards into the earth through the heels of your hands, through the finger pads. Feel that lifting upwards through the center of your hands. That lifting up, hollowing out through the center of your armpits. Notice how that offers a softening to the space right between the shoulder blades. So by bringing awareness to the structure, the strength of our skeleton, we can also find those areas we can soften. Nice inhale, lift your gaze, lift both heels. Use your exhale, walk your feet forward. Find that front line of your yoga mat. And as you come forward, stretch halfway up, gaze down, spine long. Draw your belly button in, let your spine lengthen, release the weight of your head here, and then bring both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders open. Use your exhale to rise. Inhale to reach tall. Exhale, hands coming to heart center. Anjali Mudra here. Good. Let's go ahead and bring both hands to your hips and center yourself on your mat so that you can look at a non-moving point. So looking at a drishti point. And so we're forward on our yoga mat. Feet are hips width distance apart, hands firmly on your hips. And let's begin just to step the right toes back. Right toes back and right heel here is lifted away from the ground. Good, and so gaze continues to be in this non-moving point on the wall in front of you, on the ceiling perhaps. Let's sweep the right fingertips up, pull the right thumb backwards. And so just connecting with this long line of energy in the right side of your body. Feel those right toes pressing down, right hip pressing forward. Right thumb moving backwards and right shoulder just softening here. Good, just breathing deeply here. Let's exhale, lower the right hand to your right hip. Let's sweep the left fingertips up. So now we're connecting with this line of energy across our body. Really extend upwards through the left fingertips. And then bring this awareness from the left thumb, moving backwards across your shoulder blades, across the hip, down to that right heel, pressing backwards. So connect with this line of energy. Good, nice inhale here. Option to stay here, or we're going to bend ever so slightly into your standing leg. Lengthen left hand forward, right foot behind you. Maybe that right hand wants to reach backwards. Grab a hold of the right foot, coming here into your dancer pose. And we could be up and down, right? So we could be right knee is the down point, left fingertips the up point, or we could shine the heart forward, kick the foot up and behind us. Anytime you lose your balance, just come right back to it. And on an exhale, let's release. Step both feet inwards and take a moment here. Close your eyes. Closing your eyes and then using your hands, just kind of sweep away from your head, sweeping away. And what we're sweeping away are any judgments we might have been holding about our balance today. Sweep that away. And sweep behind your head. Yeah, just release that. And then separate your feet wider than your hips. You can open your eyes here and then just release the arms by your side. Yeah, just a nice little side to side, little windmill motion here. So again, just releasing, don't let that stuff stick to you. So often this negative self-talk comes in when we try to balance if it's not perfect, and it's rarely perfect. Let's bring ourselves back to center here. Find your hands here at heart center. Let your gaze again begin to connect with a drishti point, with this non-moving point. And as we use our drishti, we focus our gaze, but we also really connect with the steadiness of your breath. And so bring your breath inwards. Let your gaze be fixed and steady. So begin to lift your right heel upwards, rotate the right knee outwards. Maybe send the sole of your right foot to the inner edge of your left leg, standing leg. So same balancing leg that we used a moment ago. And you might stay here, hands at heart center, might extend the branches upwards here as we come into our Vrikshasana. Always an option to keep those right toes down. Always an option to hold a wall. Even holding a wall, even toes down, helps us improve our balance. It's good to remember that this is an inward practice. So the inner work is much more important than the outer shape. Breathe deeply here. If you get shaky, get taller. Press through your heel of your standing leg. Get tall through the crown of your head. And exhale, hands to heart. Lower that lifted leg. Shake opposite arm, opposite leg here. Bring yourself back to that top line of your yoga mat if you're not there already. Take an inhale, sweep your arms up, lift your gaze. Exhale, pour yourself forward, coming all the way into your Uttanasana, standing forward fold, lift halfway. Good, soften inwards here. Plant your hands, step your feet backwards, bring yourself back to that Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And on an inhale, lift your heels up, float your body forward. Exhale, we'll lower knees, chin, chest, 8 points down, then release the weight of your body here. Uncurl your toes, roll your shoulders back, reach your fingers backwards as you lift your heart up. Toes stay down here. Breathing here. And exhale, bring both hands beneath your shoulders, lower your heart, lift yourself up, hands and knees, please. And then bring your hips up and back. Breathing into the stillness of this shape. And so trying to connect with a sense of relaxation, a sense of ease, a sense of release in this downward dog. And again, connecting with that structure of your skeleton, the structure of the arms. The hands pressing down into the earth and the earth pressing back upwards. Into that center shape of your palms, into that hollowing out shape of your armpits. And from that structure, see if you can find a softness, that space between the shoulder blades, softening down. Let's inhale, lift your gaze, lift your heels. Use your exhale, walk your toes forward. Good. Take your half lift here, Ardha Uttanasana here. Then draw your belly button in. Let your spine be long. Come into this forward fold. Bring both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders open. Use your exhale. Rise up, Tadasana. Inhale, reaching upwards. Exhale, both hands coming to heart center. Anjali Mudra here. Good. And here, finding hands on hips. Setting yourself towards that top line of your yoga mat, hands on hips, feet here, hips width distance apart. Gaze is connecting to your drishti point, that non-moving point here on this side. And we'll step the left toes backwards. Left heel is up, left toes pressing down. Left fingertips sweep up and back here. Good, so connecting here with this arc line of energy, that left thumb peeling backwards, left shoulder creating some nice space from your left ear. And then traveling down, feeling the spine beginning to arch here. That left quad moving towards that back line. And next exhale, we'll lower our left hand to the hip, reach your right fingertips up and back. Good, and connecting with this cross line of energy from those right fingers stretching high, that right thumb pulling back all the way across the shoulder blades, across that left hip, all the way to that left heel stretching backwards. So we might stay right here in this setup for a king dancer pose. Or you might begin to take it a little further, maybe joining the left thumb to the left forefinger, maybe leaning forward into that right leg, lifting that left leg up, reaching back with the left hand, grabbing a hold of the left foot here. And again, we might be up and down, or might lean forward, lifting your left leg behind you, coming here into our Rajakapotasana. Breathing deeply. And exhale, releasing that back foot down, bringing both hands back to your hips. Step your back foot forward and then just sweep it away. Give you the wrong Raj pose. It was our Nadarajasana, not our Rajakapotasana. Sweeping away any judgments you might have been holding there. And then bringing both hands to heart center. Good, feeling your feet solid here, hips width distance apart. Fix your gaze once more in a drishti. Good, and again, left heel is going to lift here, left knee to rotate outward, setting up here for our tree pose. You might stay here, toes down, or you might invite the sole of your foot upwards, landing just below or above your knee joint. Maybe the fingertips want to rise. Coming here into our Vrikshasana. Always the option to come back into this if we lose it. Keep breathing here. Keep your breath steady. Keep your gaze focused. Good. Next, exhale. Bring both hands to heart center. Release that lifted foot to the ground. Shake out opposite arm, opposite leg. Good. And we'll find ourselves back in that front line of your yoga mat. Let's inhale. Sweep your fingers upwards. Exhale. Come forward into the forward fold, Uttanasana. Find your half lift here. And then soften in, plant your hands, step your feet backwards, coming to your Adho Mukha Svanasana. Nice downward facing dog. Good. Next inhale, let's float forward. Bring head, heart, hips into a straight line here in your plank pose. And then we'll exhale, lower knees, chin, chest to the earth. Release the weight of your body here. Uncurl your toes. This time, stretch your arms back. Bring your palms down to the ground. Lower your chin. And if that causes you pain, lower your forehead down. Lift the feet upwards here. So feet lift, upper body is down, lower body lifted. And on an exhale, lower both feet to the ground. Bring both hands underneath your shoulders. Walk yourself through hands and knees. Curling your toes under, bring your hips up and back. Returning here to the shape of our downward dog. Find your inner stillness here. Connect with that compassion, that love at heart center that we connected with as we began our practice. Good. And next exhale, let's bring both knees down to the ground. Let's begin to walk our right foot forward between our hands, left knee backwards. This might be a good place if you're working with blocks to grab them. Again, blocks aren't necessary. Just a nice bonus. So let's begin to walk your right foot towards the left side of your mat, walking the right foot to the left, and then lower your right knee down. So setting up for our king pigeon here. We'll curl the back toes under, lift your back knee up, and as the back knee rises, it's going to inch that back leg nice and long. Yeah, so right knee is down, facing towards the right, right foot is pointing across the mat to the left. Back leg is long here, and here you can walk your blocks or walk your hands beneath the shoulders. So the upper body is very much in a back bend shape. As you begin to press the fingertips down underneath your shoulders, draw the outer edges of your arms backwards. Find that action of isometrically dragging your fingers towards your hips, lifting your heart here, lifting your gaze. So we might stay here, or we might begin to bend into that back knee. So if we bend into the back knee, it might feel nice to reach backwards, grab a hold of that left foot with the left hand. The right hand might stay down on a block or on the ground supporting you, or the right fingertips might reach up. And so here the spine is very much making the shape that we did in our King Dancer, but now coming to our King Pigeon pose. Here, our Rajakapotasana. And if your right hand is lifted, let's begin to lower that right hand here, releasing your left leg down if we have hold of the left leg. So begin to walk the fingertips forward. And as the fingertips come forward, you can bring both elbows down to the ground. As your elbows come down, interlace your fingers. Might feel nice here to rest your chin on your interlaced fingers. So keeping that curve into the neck. If that doesn't feel good, always the option to straighten into your neck, bringing your forehead down to those folded hands. Might even cross forearms and take our classic resting pigeon here. Wherever we are, find a shape where your breath is able to move easily. Good. Let's exhale, releasing the hands down. Walk your hands inwards, curl your back toes under. And as the back toes curl under, let's inch that knee a little bit closer. We'll bring the right foot backwards, returning to our tabletop where we started. And then keep extending that right leg long. Right toes are pressing into the ground, right leg nice and long. Let's drop the right heel down, lift the toes, point them forward, stretch the right fingertips up to the sky. So just coming into a nice side stretch here. Might even reach that right arm parallel to your right ear. And just breathing here. Good. And let's exhale, begin to unwind, finding yourself once more in your hands and your knees here. And then we'll begin to invite the left foot forward between your hands. Left foot coming forward, and then we'll begin to inch our left foot towards that right side of the mat. So as the left foot comes towards the right, that creates space to lower the left knee down to the ground here. And as the left knee lowers, we can curl the right toes under, lift the right knee up, lengthen your right leg nice and long behind you. And here we can walk the blocks beneath your shoulders. Good. And if the blocks are in the way, if you feel like you have a deep curve bend in your wrist, you can bring your fingertips fully to the ground here. Good. And so keeping this backward curve of the spine, with the hands beneath the shoulders, and begin to lift your sternum upwards, lengthen into your front body, maybe open your throat, lift your gaze here. Or maybe this feels good. Maybe this is exactly where you'd like to stay. If you'd like to go further, let's begin to curl into that back knee, reaching back with the right hand, grab a hold of the right foot. Maybe the left hand stays down, or maybe the left arm wants to arc upwards, coming here to our one-legged king pigeon. Good. Lowering your lifted hand, releasing that back foot if you have hold of it. Begin to walk your elbows forward, releasing elbows down to the ground, interlacing the fingers, and again, taking your supported head variation of choice. You might rest your chin here on your folded hands, might straighten into the neck and rest your forehead down, might even cross forearm over forearm and fully lower your torso here. Wherever we are, allow your breath to come to an inner steadiness. Let's begin to release the hands downwards if they're not there already. Walk your hands inwards. Curl those back toes under, inch that back knee inwards, and then we'll release our front foot back, returning to our tabletop here. Good, and from our tabletop, we'll continue to stretch that left leg long behind us, pressing through your heel, then rotate heel down, toes forward. Lift those left fingertips up. Maybe stretch the left fingertips forward. Get a nice long stretch here. Good, and on an exhale, we'll rotate inwards, coming back to our hands and our knees. And let's just work ourselves onto the back body. And so coming onto your back body with your knees bent, pointing up at the ceiling. Good, bend into both elbows, point all 10 fingers up at the ceiling. And then invite those elbows a little bit closer to your ribs. Bring those elbows closer towards the body. And then bring your awareness to your thighs. You want thighs to stay parallel to each other. Press actively through the four corners of both feet. Then an inhale, let's lift your hips upwards. Exhale, lowering the hips down. So elbows and heels are really our containment points here as we inhale, coming up into our bridge pose. Exhale down, moving here with your breath. You might stay here, those elbows down, or the next time you inhale up, you might sweep the fingers up and over your head. And as you exhale down, you might send those elbows back down to the ground. So maybe inhaling up in our Dvipada Pitam, exhaling elbows down, or maybe those elbows stay down the whole time. Sometimes they really support a greater arch to the spine. Good. So the next time we come up, I'd like to take a hold, and I want to give you a few options for doing that. So option one is you could use, if you have a block, you could slip a block underneath your body and just support the hips, the sacrum area with that block. Option two, you can do this even if you do have a block, is you can lift your hips, straighten your arms long, draw the shoulder blades closer towards each other beneath the body as the hands interlace, and take a longer hold here. And so finding an option here that serves you best. Take some nice deep breaths here. And on an exhale, if your hands are interlaced, release those. If you have a block beneath your sacrum, scoot that out of the way. Bring your body fully to the ground. Walk your feet to the outer edges of your yoga mat. Stretch your arms wide away from each other and just take a few side to side little windshield swipes of the knees, side to side. And the next time both knees are pointing in one direction, let's just pause here, rotate your gaze away from the knees. And then we'll do the same in the opposite direction, bringing your knees through center, pausing, taking this wide-legged, wide knees twist. And on an inhale, bring your knees towards center. Walk your feet and knees now hips width distance, and then lift your feet away from the ground. Hug your knees in, lift your chin and nose upwards, hugging inwards here. And then fully release the weight of your body down. And as we come into our Shavasana, if you started the practice with a sweater on this cold Florida morning, you might return to that sweater as we bring our body into this state of rest and of stillness, letting the weight of your body soften fully downwards, allowing for your palms to turn upwards, your fingers to release any gripping they might have been holding. And allowing here for your whole body to be heavy. Your whole body heavy, supported here. Any lingering tension that's held in the hips, leaving your body. Any lingering tension held in the low back or in the abdomen, all softening, melting away. And releasing fully the weight of your shoulder girdle into the ground. Releasing any held tension in your jaw, in your temple. Letting any expression still held in your face melt away. Letting your whole body come into a state of rest. A state of rest and receptivity. Resting the physical body so that the energetic self can soak up all the benefits of your practice. Resting the outward body so that the inner can shine brighter. Resting here. Let's begin to bring your awareness gently back to your breath. And feeling here the ease with which your breath moves in your body. And beginning to connect with a small movement to your fingers and your toes. A little movement to your wrists, your ankles. And as it feels good, take a nice big good morning stretch. Reach your fingers backwards, reach your toes forward. And invite your knees inwards. Wrap your arms around your knees. Give yourself a squeeze here. Maybe a little rocking side to side, massaging into your low back. And as you're ready, come to rest on one side. Resting on one side, use your top hand to press your body up to a seat. And pausing here with both hands at heart center as you find your seat. Let's come back to that heart awareness that we began with. So one hand pressing onto your body, onto heart center, the other in your lap. And just taking this moment here, connecting with that limitless compassion, that limitless love that you have within. Feel that shining outwards into the world. Feel that shining inwards to yourself. And we'll finish here with a soft om. Everyone's muted, so feel free to be as loud or as quiet as you'd like. Om. And joining both hands